Two households, same city, same zip code, both taking home $88,000 a year. The first one you would guess is doing fine. New crossover in the driveway, 39 payments left on it. Two phones on installment plans. A storage unit 11 miles away holding furniture from the last apartment. Every month the money arrives and then it vanishes. And nobody in that house could tell you exactly where it went. There is $1,400 in savings. There has been $1,400 in savings for 3 years. The second household looks slower. 10-year-old sedan, paid off. Same couch since 19. Nothing in that house would make you look twice. That house has $312,000 invested and no debt except a mortgage. Same income, same city, same tax code. And the gap between them is not intelligence, it comes down to 3 habits. 3, not 30. And once you see them working, you cannot unsee them because you will start noticing which one your own household is missing. Start with what you have already been told. Budget. Track every dollar. Cut the coffee. Cancel the subscriptions. Start a side hustle because the problem must be that the income is too small. None of that is a lie, exactly. But here is the part nobody sells you because there is no product on the other side of it. Millions of people already do all of that. They budget, they track, they cut. And 10 years later, their net worth has barely moved, while a coworker on less money quietly crossed $250,000. The difference is not effort, it is structure. The wealthy household is not winning a daily fight against temptation. It has arranged its money so the fight almost never happens. Habit 1. The decision happens before the money arrives. In the broke household, the paycheck lands in checking. Bills go out. Life happens for 3 weeks. Whatever survives is what gets saved. Some months that is $300. Most months it is nothing because life is very good at expanding into whatever room you leave it. In the wealthy household, the sequence is reversed. The money moves out on the day it arrives, before it is ever visible. Retirement contribution comes off the top through payroll. A transfer hits the brokerage the same morning the deposit clears. What is left in checking is the entire operating budget, and it is treated as though nothing else exists. That person is not stronger than you. They only had to make the decision once. That is the mechanism. Willpower is a battery, and it drains. By Thursday evening after a bad week, it is at nothing and the checkout button is right there. Automation removes the choice from the day. They never see the money, so they never miss it, so they never get the chance to spend it on something shiny. Now the math. A household putting $1,000 a month into retirement accounts at a historically normal 7% has roughly $173,000 after about $520,000 after 20, about $1.22 million after 30. Same $1,000. The only variable is how long it was left alone, and a 50% employer match on the first 6% of salary is an instant 50% return before a single market gain happens. Nothing else in finance offers that, yet roughly 1 in 5 workers with access to a match does not capture all of it, because a form was never filled out. Take Denise. School district administrator in Ohio, 49, never earned 6 figures in her life. She drives a Corolla with 140,000 miles on it. Her colleagues assume she is just careful with money. What they do not know is that she set her contribution rate at 14% when she was 31 and never touched it again except to raise it a point with every raise. She has never once decided to save money. She decided one time 18 years ago. She crossed $700,000 last spring. She found out because her husband checked the statement. 1 point today. On $88,000, that is about $73 a month. You will not notice it inside a week, and it is worth roughly $89,000 over 30 years. Habit 2. The big 3 costs get set low, once, and then left alone. A daily $6 coffee is about $2,190 a year. Real money. But housing, transportation, and food routinely eat 60 to 70% of take-home pay. And unlike the coffee, those are not daily decisions. They are decisions made once on one afternoon in front of a leasing agent, and then you live inside them for the next 4 to 30 years. The broke household optimizes the small choices and loses the 3 enormous ones. The average new car payment in America has pushed past $740 a month. 2 modest vehicles at $370 each is $9,000 a year before insurance, before fuel, before the first repair. Invest that same $750 a month, 7% stead, and 30 years later it is about $915,000. That is one afternoon. That is a signature. The difference between a $2,400 mortgage and a $3,100 mortgage is $700 a month, which is closer to $850,000 in forgone growth over 30 years. And the bigger house does not sit still. It pulls in furniture, then a lawn service, then higher utilities, then taxes that rise with the assessment. Square footage is not a cost, it is a subscription. And then there is the ratchet, which is the quietest wealth killer in the country. You get a $12,000 raise. It feels like relief for 6 weeks. Then the apartment becomes a house, the sedan becomes an SUV, and within a year the raise has been absorbed entirely into fixed obligations. You earn more and feel exactly as tight because the new costs are contractual and the old ones were optional. This is why the $150,000 household so often has the same $3,000 in savings as the $70,000 household. Income went up, the gap never did. Marcus is a lineman in Tennessee, 44, 3 raises and a promotion in 6 years, and his housing payment has not changed once because he bought at the bottom of what he could afford instead of the top of what he was approved for. His coworkers assume he is cheap. What they do not see is that his fixed costs sit near 44% of take-home while theirs sit near 72%, so every raise he gets goes into the market instead of a payment book. He is not out-earning them, he is out-structuring them. Habit 3. They buy things that pay them, not things that bill them. Every dollar leaving your household goes to one of 2 places. The first kind sends money back: index funds, retirement accounts, a cash buffer, a $600 certification that moves your salary $9,000. These dollars leave and multiply. The second kind bills you again. The financed boat and the slip fee and the winterization, the pool and the chemicals and the pump that fails in year 6. These dollars leave and send invoices. A broke household is usually not one that spends too much. It is one that has accumulated too many things in the second category, each signed for on a different hopeful afternoon, and now the paycheck is spoken for before it arrives. The wealthy household is boring here. Broad, low-cost index funds, tax-advantaged accounts filled in order, no stock tips, no options, no complicated product with a salesperson attached, and fees are invisible and enormous. 1% a year versus 0.05% sounds like a rounding error. On $500,000 over 25 years, it is well over $200,000 that never shows up. Ray is a fleet mechanic in Arizona, 56. He has never bought a stock in his life. He has put money into 2 index funds every 2 weeks since he was 33, through 2008, through 2020, through every stretch when the balance stayed down long enough to feel permanent. He did not sell, he did not look. He says not checking is the only skill he has. His account is past 1.1 million. Nobody would ever guess because his wealth lives inside a brokerage statement instead of on his wrist or in his driveway. Now the honest part, if your income does not cover your basic needs, no habit fixes that, and the answer is income, not optimization. Medical debt breaks these rules. So does a layoff, a divorce, a parent who needs care. And a $2,400 mortgage is a decision in Ohio and a fantasy in coastal California. But these 3 are the highest leverage moves available to almost every household at almost every income, and they cost nothing to start. A form, an afternoon, and a decision to leave things alone. So, those 2 households, nothing is wrong with the first one. They are not lazy and they are not foolish. They made 3 or 4 reasonable sounding decisions on 3 or 4 separate afternoons, each approved by a lender who was happy to approve it, and none of those afternoons felt like the moment their future was being decided. The second household also made a handful of decisions on a handful of afternoons. Theirs happened to be the 3 that compound. Same income, different structure, 20 years. And the reason this should feel like relief rather than a scolding is that structure is the one thing you can change this week without earning another dollar. You cannot summon a raise by Friday. You can raise a contribution rate by 1 point in about 9 minutes. This is not financial advice, and your situation has details I cannot see. Talk to someone who can see them. But whatever you decide, decide on purpose, because the money is going to be structured either way. The only question is whether you did it or whether it happened to you.